Chuck roast is an absolutely delicious, top-tier cut of meat, and to tell me that I'm wrong would be wrong. It's not exactly seen as the most desirable cut, which is why you can get it for really cheap and a lot of it, which is good because more for me. The problem people have with chuck is that unlike a ribeye or a tenderloin, it's in the shoulder of the cow, which gets a lot of work during the cow's life as he walks around and holds himself up, which causes that muscle to become chock full of collagen proteins, which require more delicate cooking over time to really break those proteins down to make it more edible, which is why you'll see it in roasts and braises. And this is a sort of French-inspired chuck roast, a spin on steak frites almost, but with a chuck roast. In the theme of steak frites, I'm also doing super giant oven fries, which are crispy and soft in the middle and don't require 3 days of cold water soaking and a pot full of oil and 4 different smoke alarms going off. After you portion your meat to whatever size you want, I'm doing 2 servings, and it's not for my girlfriend. Look at me. Do you really think I can get a girlfriend? Here I'm dicing up my shallots with my very poor knife skills and very non-sticky cutting board. This is going to be just one of the aromatics I use in the braise. Along with these diced shallots, I'm going to be going in with some garlic, peppercorns, thyme, and feel free to use whatever aromatics you have around. You don't have to use those. You can use rosemary or whatever else you want. Here I'm just going in with some olive oil in a pot. Well, not some, a lot. And I'm going to get this oil really hot and sear my chuck roast. I'm not cooking it. I'm just getting some really nice color on it. That'll add some good texture and flavor to the meat. That beautiful browning. Look at it. Get that on all sides. You want to make sure you hit every side of the cut just so it's even. Because you want your food to be at least somewhat pretty. You might be like me and like to go quick, but you still liked it to be pretty. Here, I'm adding my garlic, and I'm going to let that get aromatic along with my shallots. And I didn't put all the shallots in because for some reason I didn't bring the cutting board over to my pot. Braises are really fun because they're really pliable. You can sort of do whatever you want, and for the French theme, I'm doing shallots and garlic, but you can modify this to really do whatever you want. You could do a curried chuck roast. You could do an Asian style chuck roast. Really play around with it and your palate to see what really hits the spot. I almost turned it into an Indian style braise with curry flavors, but I was feeling a little too colonial. I just threw a bunch of thyme in there. Like I said, you can do rosemary or tarragon, whatever you have. And then I'm going to go in with some peppercorns and toast those up. Toasting your herbs and spices brings out a little bit of a different flavor, a little bit of a stronger flavor, but it's really not necessary. And honestly, you probably shouldn't be toasting herbs because that's not really how that works. And here I'm going to deglaze those brown bits from the meat with some brandy, but you can use cognac, wine, stock. I mean, even water works. Here I'm going to add 2 cups of stock after that becomes a little less alcoholic smelling. And after that, I'm going to add about a half a cup or maybe 3/4 cup of cream. Do this to taste. If you like it extra creamy, add more cream. Once that John is boiling, you're going to take your meat and just toss it back in there. Make sure that crusty side is facing up or down just for look's sake. This guy is really boiling loud, and so I'm going to throw my lid on and throw it in the oven at about 300. You can do 250 if you've got all day. It'll enhance the flavor, but at 350 if you want for more speed. It took me about 3-ish hours at 300 for these chunks. I believe in you. You can adjust. But now we're doing some potatoes. Cut these as thin, as fat as you want. I like them big and chunky, so that's what I'm going to do, but maybe if you want that more traditional French frite, you can get them real thin. Be better than I am. Cut them evenly. We're going to blanch these guys, which just means boiling them till almost done, until we're almost falling apart, and then shock them in cold water. I'm giving these a quick rinse to get some of that starch off so it can crisp up a little more. And just get your pot of water boiling, ripping hot. Put them in very carefully, but not like I did because I was careful and I still did it terribly. But they all got in there and that's what matters. As they all boil, you can go ahead and get yourself a sheet pan to throw these potatoes on, as well as a strainer in the sink for when they're done. Once they're almost falling apart or fork tender, you can go ahead and strain those and give them a quick cold rinse. This is blanching. Like I said, this is going to quickly stop that cooking process. Obviously, you want to soak them in ice water, but this is just a good step. Once they're rinsed, I threw them right into a bowl of ice water, like I said, to really stop the cooking process in its tracks. And then I lined them up on a sheet pan and put them to the side while that chuck roast finishes. So with these oven fries, I mean, you can do whatever oil you want. You use olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil. I'm gonna use beef tallow because I have it for some reason. It has a high saturated fat content as well. So does things like peanut oil and things like that. And that higher saturated fat content is actually gonna make the fries a little more crispy. So go for something with a higher fat content if you have it. But if you don't, olive oil, anything like that works. So I moved this guy to the stove top because I need the oven to make French fries. So I'm just letting this continue to simmer and reduce a little bit more. It's pretty much ready, and you can take the meat out whenever it's tender enough for you and then just let the sauce reduce. Shut up, bro. Preheat that oven to 450. Here, I'm gonna be pouring my beef fat over my potatoes. Use your oil, use whatever you got. Make sure these potatoes have adequate space. The air circulation is what's really gonna crisp them up. There should be a good bit of fat or oil on these. It should be almost pooling at the bottom, but not too much to where they're drowning. But go ahead and throw these in the oven. We're going at 450 for about 30 minutes. The chuck is just about done. I like it fork tender, but not toppling over on itself. Pretty, isn't it? But anyways, it's been 30 minutes and these fries are done. Get them into a bowl real fast with some parchment paper to sop up a little bit of that grease and toss them in salt, pepper, rosemary, Parmesan, whatever floats your boat. Just do it quick while they're still really hot. Your chuck should be done by now. Go ahead and pull out and put it on a plate. These are a little more done than I'd like, but they're still gonna taste really good. I'm using a bit of flour to thicken this, and you can probably slurry this for it to be fancier, but I don't care. The flour lumps are a part of my soul. Cook that till it's as thick as you like, and plate them up like Napoleon. I probably disturbed the ghost of Napoleon with this one, but that's okay. This is just one way to use a superior cut like chuck roast.